And the bass keeps Ronin.
God damn
Ronin.
it.
Yeah.
Ronin.
I like that, actually.
And to quote this film and predict the content of the podcast we are about to receive, what could have been handled in a collegiate atmosphere is now fucked into a cocked hat. This is Frame Rate, the show where we rate frames. That's Abe.
That's Michael, and we have 2 guests this time. Introduce yourselves, guests, at any time you want.
I am Sarah Griffith, and I had to say my name before Bridgett. That's why I yelled a little, but yes, that's me.
You get extra points.
Yes.
And who else we got?
What? I didn't. Oh God! If there were points on the table, I would have not been polite. But I'm Bridgett Greenberg.
See how Abe slyly set himself up as the arbiter of who wins? See, he put himself above
Wow.
the point system.
Minus 5 points for Michael.
That's the guy for pointing that out. That's the kind of manipulative gaslighting that almost every character in Ronin is trying to play out.
Way to keep us on track.
Thank you.
What?
Yeah,
that was
really
a
nice.
good.
Bravo!
And thanks
Yeah.
to patron Nikolai G for this request. I do think it's the perfect combo, like the perfect time for all 4 of us to come together for a film like Ronin. Yeah. So, gosh, how do we dive into this thing? I'll say this. I saw Ronin in theaters. I remember my pop taking me to Ronin, and I was too young for it because I went away thinking, I don't understand what happened in that movie.
For sure.
So it was fun to rewatch it as an adult and totally get every aspect of what was going on. It's not that complicated.
Once you can wrap your head around what a MacGuffin is, it's not that complicated. But if you try to keep track of the suitcase, it's messy.
It's one of those things that's all about the intrigue. It's like why like a baby wouldn't want to watch like Game of Thrones or something like that. It's like, well, okay, so the drama is really between like what we don't know and how they're going to navigate the situation not knowing. And it's like, okay, that's hard to translate. It's surprising how much this movie moves for the fact that it's car chases and then people in rooms talking. That's all it is.
And a couple of bang bang shoot 'em ups, but those are very short. It really is car chase more than bang bangs. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like the car chases are what gets you to see this movie.
Or like what Frankenheimer was super into. Yeah, the director.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's the pull of this movie. That's really what we're all here for, are those 2 really awesome chases.
And they are pretty cool. I was surprised. Did you guys notice that there's like no special effects in this movie? And I don't mean even visual effects. It's just they filmed the cars doing the things.
I this movie came out in 98, but as I was watching it, for some reason, I was like, well, of course there's no visual effects. They didn't have that kind of stuff back then. Like, I don't know why. I like dated this film like 40 or 50 years. Like, just because I'm just so used to, I mean, fuck, they will CGI a tree in the background of a shot. They'll
to cover
put it in anywhere. And so like
radio tower or whatever.
So like a few times watching this, I did have to remember, okay, this came out in 1998. Like, this is not some like ancient old time motion picture. Like, they could have done it and they didn't. And I didn't think this director, he also directed Grand Prix. And if I'm not mistaken, like that was also like heralded for like, it was all real car sequence. Like, this dude loves a car chase. He is always about keeping it real, keeping it authentic. Just tearing through ancient, historic Paris, Nice. Who gives a fuck? We're driving.
Oh, cars are getting destroyed.
We
left
are
and
driving
right.
through the market. We are knocking boxes over. Pedestrians are running and apples are flying. Old school.
Jesus.
Full throttle. Car chase.
It's such a simple element of a car chase, but I love when a car goes the opposite direction of traffic
and
or
whatever. Yeah.
Nothing will get my heart racing more than a car going the opposite direction than it's supposed to. That's always just a great element of a car chase, and they do that so well in that tunnel.
I watched like a quick little featurette about the movie, and John Frankenheimer was like, the only thing I don't want to see in this movie are brake lights. Like, damn. Okay,
damn.
King.
What a bumper sticker that is.
Right?
All gas, no brakes. Yeah.
Which is incredible, because that is interesting, because what I was thinking about when I saw this car chase is that it felt so real because you do see them slow down to like turn and stuff.
And not kill people. Yeah.
And not kill and like try to avoid and not people just like hopping out of their way. It does feel a little more realistic because I called out they do drift around roundabout and it is a very slow drift. It's not a Tokyo drift.
I also love that even when they don't need to, Larry, which makes sense because who would become a getaway driver? Some fucking nerd who thinks he's cool because he can drift, right?
Yeah.
So I did love that Larry, the getaway driver, will drift even when he doesn't need to. Like when he's setting up ahead of time to head the guys off at the pass and do the ambush, he like peels off the freeway and drifts in a U-turn and then stops and calmly goes like, I'm in position now. And you're like, who was that for? That one was just for Larry.
Just for me. Look, it's not his car, not his transmission. Vincent can get another one.
This is for the boys.
Exactly. Yeah. I also love that there is like, we were talking about the realism about like how they really wanted to put like extras almost getting hit by cars and they just shot it, and they're not like cranking the camera at crazy speeds, so like if they want it to look like it's going 100 miles an hour, there's no camera trickery.
No,
a car going 100 miles an hour, and that is crazy that they're doing that, and then they're also keeping it like down to earth in a way that I don't think like Fast and Furious or other like car franchises do. Like I love the little touch at the in the second car chase where they're constantly flashing their brights to warn other drivers.
I thought that was really interesting. I think also just like the way it's shot it puts you more in the passenger or in the seat of the car than a Fast and Furious where you're watching it as an audience. You're watching it from these like crane angles. In a movie like Fast and the Furious, where here you're watching it through the windshield. So you're either looking directly at the drivers from a front-facing angle or directly out their windshield. You're not really getting this like completely other view of it that takes you out. It does make you feel like you're going at that speed.
Totally.
Yeah, visually, it's good to finally have the answer to the question, what would before sunrise look like if there were like fucking raunchy car chases in the middle of it? And it would be something like this, I think.
I think so. Yeah, it's more about the interpersonal relationships.
Yeah, Sarah and I's two favorite movies, Fast and Furious meets Before Sunrise.
Wow, make no mistake. Cast and Curious is why you're here, I think. If I understand the way experts. Nikolai G thinks,
I love the reputation we have now as like just full car people. I love it. I think Bridgett leases a Nissan and I have a Honda. But like we're the car people, sure.
Hey,
I have it's not even that cool. I have a Mazda, which I have a hatchback. It's not exciting. We're not exciting drivers, but we like to pretend.
Zoom car, wasn't that the commercial?
Yeah. So I guess I am a cool car person. I take it back.
Cool.
So deemed. You're both cool car people. I do think if I could give just the barest of descriptions for people who don't know what the fuck we're talking about.
Some context.
Yeah. From a top level view, it's 4 car chases, right? But then around that, there's also people. And I would say part of the draw is the cast. It does have a killer cast. You got Jean Reno of the Professional fame. De Niro, of course, holding it down as the titular Ronin, I guess. Although you could argue the twist is that he's not a Ronin.
I guess they're all Ronins.
They're all Ronins,
except him.
We are Ronins,
except for the man.
Yeah, that's the twist. Is that the title refers to everyone else, and you thought it. I think, but basically, it's. Spoilers, him as an undercover CIA agent infiltrating a band of hardened mercenary criminals, much like your usual suspects, or I even saw some shades of Breaking Bad and other things.
For sure.
He's very competent in a Mike Ehrmantraut sort of way. And they go about trying to recover a case, Pulp Fiction style, and we never know what's in the case. And it's all about everyone's machinations against each other, trying to get the case, wanting the case, Reservoir Dogs style. Who's going to get the case? Who can get the case? And, there's twists and turns and people betray each other. I think this may be one of the most dense movies I've ever seen with betrayals. Like, at the moment when Jonathan Pryce betrays everyone, I barely it took me a moment to understand, oh, he's even betraying Deirdre. Okay, he's betraying everyone.
Yeah, definitely.
Like,
This was my first watch, and I did a couple of times have to rewind and like double check that I was still like, I'm understanding this correctly, right? Like I had to check myself a couple of times in that regard.
Like, why did he slit that guy's throat? I guess he's flipping now. I guess he's flipping. Okay, he flipped. Yeah.
Yeah, we were saying it's a simple movie, but then I was like, I was confused at multiple points as to who is working with who and where we're at, who is chasing what, and where it is.
I know
That's
the
true.
show
It's-
likes to do a plot by plot summary, and the whole time I was watching this, I was like, "Oh fuck, please don't ask me to do that." Oh my god.
Yeah, no, you're kind of, I mean, you're truly chasing this MacGuffin, and then you find out at the end, I mean, of course, in true fashion, that that didn't even matter. That's not what we were chasing. We were looking for Jonathan Pryce.
It was about the friends we made along the way.
Yeah. And it's kind of, I think, as Nikolai may have pointed out in our interchange, but correct me if I'm wrong, Abe, it also kind of presages some John Wickish stuff where it's like, God damn, he's so competent. He's the ultimate cool mercenary.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
almost like the end of the movie is revealing he was John Wick the whole time and you didn't know
Yeah.
that.
He can see everything, like who's in the room is going to betray him. He can shoot the best. He even dictates at one point in one scene his own surgery.
Yeah.
Oh, that was badass.
It's a very old school perception of of maleness, right? It's somewhere between James Bond and John McClane.
And professionalism. It's,
Yeah,
the
I know a
professional
handful
criminal.
of guys who, like, no kidding, think they are Robert De Niro in this movie.
Right. Yeah.
I'm like, yeah,
I
this is the poster that I think a lot of men have in their minds of like, yeah, that's who I am, and it's like, no.
You're mostly Sean Bean. All you
Mostly
guys.
Yeah,
Sean Bean.
Sean
Sean
Bean is
Bean.
more representative of most guys I know who think they're
The
cool.
guy's just a liar and gets
Sean Bean
called
doesn't,
out.
and Sean Bean doesn't die in this one.
But he doesn't make it through the film.
He do-
like
No, he doesn't.
Yeah.
He doesn't get past the first act.
he
But
can't
yeah,
complete a 2 acts of a 3-act film. Yeah,
He's just there to show off that De Niro is so good.
he disarms him with coffee, bro.
Yeah,
He
dude.
ambushes him with a cup of
with coffee.
No doubt.
That is one of my favorite scenes in the movie.
yeah,
and
that
just
was
De
cool
Niro.
as a fuck. Hell yeah, that was cool.
That's the Ermintrout touch. That's what I love. Is like that's what reminds me of Mike. Is the simple process where you like an old man goes and picks up a paperclip and puts it on a shelf, and you're like, "What's that for?" And then later a guy falls and his eye is skewered on the paperclip, and you're like,
yeah.
"How do you know that
He's
was
the
going to be?"
equalizer.
I do love that De Niro's own real move in this, which he does 3 or 4 times, is putting something somewhere ahead of time so it will
Yeah.
be there later. Like that is
Yeah.
his go-to
Yeah.
move.
Well, it's funny, he's competent. Competence in this movie is all through. I mean, it shows up in like it almost seems like neuroticism. Like he is asking the most questions and needs the most detail, and is like setting things up in the way he wants them set up. But it's because he's the best.
It's like one of my the scene that I love probably the most is the scene where he's with Deidre and they're trying to take photos of, you know, the handoff of the case, whatever, and like who's there, get this photo evidence. So he goes to this whole spiel about like, sir, can you take a photo of me and my wife? And they're clicking away, and it's like, can you take a photo of just my wife? Okay, now let me take a photo of the two of you. And it's like, who the hell is getting away with this?
He's Columboing this
He's
shit.
lucky that tourist kept going. Yeah, and wasn't
Yeah,
like,
totally,
What
yeah.
do you mean? What the fuck are you
What the fuck are you talking about? You're right.
Yeah.
Because he's so confident, they just believe it, you know?
Oh yeah.
They just believe that,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, I'll take a photo of your wife, I guess.
And
you
the
know?
fake shotgun. I don't know what they were. I
The
think
fake
they were-
gunshot, yeah. The
Yeah,
idea that he
yeah,
could
yeah.
trigger the bodyguards by dropping a sign near them.
Yeah.
Is so many. Well, there's so many. I can't remember. I'll find in my notes eventually before we're done here. But there was one that's like, these leaps are impossible. You know, which I guess goes with the territory where he's making impossible leaps of understanding to resolve the case, or to like, how could he have possibly foreseen that? But I will say, for the most part, it hangs together. I kind of like this heightened, like it does work on me. It's and it's another way that I see this as a progenitor of like your John Wicks, is they also do this thing where they create this mystical world of crime that is going on behind the scenes that I don't believe really exists to that level of You know what I mean? Where there's a network of
sophistication.
contacts and
I
they
don't.
all
I don't
regularly
think,
work together and it's stable. Like I don't believe that can happen.
No.
Yeah.
But I like the idea.
Well, it's never stable. All their contacts are constantly fucking up or betraying them.
Dying.
But the
That's
fact
true.
that everyone knows like several guys.
Everyone
yeah.
has fixers. Yeah.
Everybody has a Rolodex of other criminals, which I do like the conceit. But yeah, it's debunked pretty quickly in these movies.
It's hard to buy. Right. Especially if every mission goes like the mission in Ronin. I don't see how this is a thing you can do multiple times. Like it all collapsed. I mean, if Reservoir Dogs taught us anything, it all collapses in on itself. But yet I just love the idea of a gentleman criminal who's like somehow knows so much about, oh, well, that type of gun jams when you point it that way, so I'm fine. It definitely has a mystique. I love
it's cool.
Yeah.
Every single time. It's cool. Yeah, you see it from the very beginning when De Niro stashes that gun. That he doesn't end up needing. Like a lot of the stuff they do show him not ending up needing.
Yeah.
But he's right almost every single time. That's why the CIA boys are the best ones.
Oh,
he's always
prepared.
prepared.
Yeah.
He just
Everybody
guesses,
else is stupid. All these Europeans are idiots.
He guesses that Sean Bean didn't go to Hereford and is lying about it, and then he just pushes him on it and he crumbles. And then the guy's like, how did you know what color the boathouse in Hereford is? And he's like, fuck should I know? I didn't. I just am that good a judge of character, which is also, I always get off on like the idea of someone who can cold read you. I mean, that goes back to Sherlock Holmes and it's still pretty cool. Yeah.
Oh, who doesn't love that scene in a movie? Are you fucking kidding me? It's like, it's sexy. It's like, oh my God, you got his ass, Rob.
Yeah, it's just hilarious to me that Frankenheimer is like super old school. Like he's like John Ford. He's like, I don't care about homages or literary shit. I just want to make a movie that moves, you know? It's like the title is as deep as the metaphor gets. Like it's not even, it's so surface level.
It is, and it doesn't work all the way.
Yeah, there's no, I mean, I because the twist is kind of the same, I couldn't not compare it to Reservoir Dogs, where everyone's trying to get the thing, and at the end, the guy admits he was a cop the whole time. And Reservoir Dogs, or I'll just say the emotional impact, which I don't think Frankenheimer's trying to do. So it's intentional, but it's an interesting difference how you can tell almost the same exact story. A bunch of criminals betray each other, one gets the money, and one is a cop. And you could play it Reservoir Dogs style, where it's like a brutal, emotional gut punch. Or you can play it this way, where it's just like, I don't know. It almost felt like, you know, when Renault turned back at the end, I really thought he was going to say, and hey, thanks for everything. Like, it feels that cliche. It didn't go that far, but it is very much like De Niro and Renault bumping fists. They're cool.
Right.
Yeah, they're super cool. Look how cool this is.
And it really is.
Fun. It feels like this movie feels the need to explain so much while explaining so little at the same time. Like, there's no reason Jean Reno's character is sticking with De Niro this whole time. He could have bailed a long time ago. The whole mission fell apart.
That was something like I didn't ever fully grasp, was like, how did these two become like the best friends in this?
Like, he's just another good dude. We just like him.
Probably he's just the only other one that's like as competent, or at least like has the same level of confidence as De Niro. And De Niro recognizes that.
De Niro like just likes the cut of his jib. He's the only one he didn't take down or prove to be a fraud or someone who's gonna stab them in the back. So we keep him.
Oh yeah, and that's it went over my head, but that's totally doesn't make sense in the sense that it ends with Renault saying, no questions, no answers. That's the business we're in. You accept it and move on. Maybe that's lesson number 3. And didn't he just get busted by De Niro? Like, isn't he part of the crime ring?
Right.
Shouldn't he be under arrest?
He didn't get paid.
Now? Yeah.
Like, I don't think he got paid.
He didn't get paid. What crime? He's not he's not with the Russians. He's not with the Irish. He's just a dude who is no longer getting paid for this job that he is still dragging around on.
They're all dead.
Yeah.
That CIA one.
By the way, he didn't get that sweet $20,000. Did you guys notice?
God, that is
when they said that when you get the case, you'll get $20,000. I was like,
supply and
Jesus.
demand.
Yeah, not that bad. And then I think it was Stellan Skarsgård like ups his price to like $50,000.
Triples it, which means it's like 60 grand. Yeah.
Yeah.
My price has gone up 300%. But something I really didn't appreciate as a kid, that Skarsgård, I think, is punching above his weight in this movie as far as just
fucking rules.
the choice to just be a creepy sourpuss is such a good choice.
He's a perfect villain in any, just cast it. He should be every villain in every movie. Skarsgård at least should be a villain in everything.
We're getting close to maximum
Skarsgård. I mean, he's such a good villain. I love in the beginning, he's just the computer nerd, and I was like, you're playing computer nerd. That works for you. And then his heel turn to just be like this weird rogue guy who's just given the case to the highest bidder.
And he's cutthroat, man. That scene where he shoots at the small girl just so he can.
Yeah, seriously.
I also love that gun, by the way. That Call of Duty modded multiplayer gun.
Yeah, what the fuck was that?
Extension.
That looked like a Nerf gun that they spray painted black. Like, that was the craziest looking weapon I've seen in a film.
Well, he's the computer guy. He's the tech guy. He's got all the stuff.
He's got all the sights, and there's a suppressor, and it's just got too much shit on it. It really feels like sword guy energy.
Yeah.
You know? It's like,
he has big sword guy energy.
Cool. Yeah.
Sure.
He's great. We have to talk about the accent work.
Yes. Oh God.
That was confusing. Deirdre's accent.
The Northern Irish accent. And as I was watching this film, she does fine work with it. Honestly, it's just a fucking crazy accent. It's a crazy accent to put onto a person who doesn't usually have that accent. And I knew, I was like, she's putting this accent on. She is. Everyone who's doing the Northern Irish accent is putting it on. I get it. They're IRA, so that does contextually make sense. Jesus, that is such a chore of all the accents to put on an actor to do.
I think 20 minutes into the movie, I turned to my boyfriend and asked, where is she supposed to be from? I could not.
Were it not for Game of Thrones and Dairy Girls, I don't think I'd be able to understand her at all. But I've just gotten better at hearing that kind of accent.
I also love that they're a lot of these character names are Simpsons characters.
Yeah.
that are designed to be an archetype. Seamus O'Rourke.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
The fact that
when they
I
said
thought
his
they
name
were
was
using a
Seamus.
slur. Yeah, I thought they were just calling him Seamus, but his name is Seamus. And also doing the hardcore Irish accent, like the guttural version of it, which is really funny if you've seen him in Brazil, which is what I mainly love him from. And just as such a mild-mannered British dude, to see him as the wild-eyed Irish terrorist is also fun.
It's also fun. He is, he plays a villain in this that I don't know. He's good in this. I don't know if this is the villain he should be playing, because he's normally the creepy manipulator guy.
Yeah.
And he's supposed to be a little tougher and suaver and sleeker in this.
Yeah.
And more dangerous.
But you don't want to hear Dennis Hopper trying to do an Irish accent, Yeah,
also
that's who it should have been.
He's also just too little.
Yeah.
He's a little too little.
He's a little man. Deirdre is a foot and a half taller than him. It's
she's a supermodel. With that fluffy hair of hers, she literally just walked off the runway at Paris Fashion
gorgeous.
Week,
Yeah.
put on that accent, and was like, all right, hey, where's the film? I can't even fucking do it. It's just fucking crazy. I will also say, just a little thing, the way she articulated with her hands when she was talking about things on the board, this just stuck with me. But she kind of clawed the case when she's like, this is what we're after, or whatever the fuck. And she, her hand articulations are bizarre in a way that I wanted to ask the question, the way she was moving her hands was she's never been in front of a whiteboard in her life. She's never been in a circumstance where she had to point at something.
Indicate
I don't know.
Something.
It truly distracted me in that initial sequence where she was like, it's going to be an ambush. All right, Deirdre.
It's definitely distracting enough that I know the exact moment and can conjure the image in my mind of
It's
the
in the
claw
trailer.
hand that you're talking about. Yeah. She's like, this case, and she claws at it.
Was a single point like out of the question?
Yeah.
Was that a choice?
I really enjoyed them Mr. Peanut looking dude who actually had the case and just got killed. The just bald, like naked mole rat guy.
That's a
he was unsettling
person. The Mr. Peanut looking man.
In the scene where, by the way, De Niro rocket launches one of the escort cars. Fucking incredible.
Yeah, I don't know how the momentum worked out, but it seems like it shot the car in an impossible way.
Directly
like a game glitch, a wall pinch.
Oh, yeah. The physics of these explosions are all over the place, which is impressive because, again, they are practical. So
they're blowing this shit up. This is actually what it looks like. It's closer than our CG and our Fast and Furious,
more. I mean, I guess they probably put whatever device they needed to underneath the car instead of from the side where it would have got hit, so it goes up. But
they're thinking about like, okay, so what would go wrong here? Well, it would smash and that would compress that. So really, what would explode would be like the engine or it would be the gas tank, and they're trying to stay true to that. That's like what the stunt coordinators talk about in this film, and why it's well known and talked about is like at the time was a masterpiece. Everyone talked about this movie and its practical effects. It got overshadowed because 1 year later, like The Matrix came out.
Sure.
So it's like, well, who cares about practical effects anymore? This is kind of like a movie that is the last hurrah for car movies. We don't get another like this ever again.
That was a big thing I was thinking about when this movie ended, because it ended and I was like, yeah, that was fun and good. I don't know how much. I mean, there were good chases. I enjoyed watching it. I don't know how much it would stick with me, but I think the thing that did was like, oh, they don't make this kind of action movie anymore. They don't make like these standalone, self-contained action movies that don't like. This had a $55 million budget.
Which is pretty big.
Which is pretty decent, but I don't think you get action movies with car chases and big effects and set pieces anymore for under $100 million franchise.
And a guaranteed box office return for a sequel in order to pay off, all the investment you put in the first one. I mean, this really is a genre film, and something that I even forget sometimes, action movies are a genre, and there are genre films within this. I just think that quickly after this, we started to really reinvest in the comic book movie. Yeah. And that kind of took over, I think, the action genre film.
Yeah. Before comic book movies, we had this type of movie, which is typified by people holding guns while bongo music plays. That's another trope that really made me go, this is of this era, was when the bongo music kicked in. And I remembered, that is what they always played. I get a little flavor. Movies.
I think Jason Bourne also, the first Bourne movie, also had hints of this kind of true to the 20th century genre film. But I think we've just the genre film still exists. The Mission Impossible movies are fucking incredible. But just
The Accountant
now,
comes to mind for me as a throwback to this genre. Yeah. They still pop up now and again.
Yeah, I just think now there has to be more than just action. I mean, didn't Meryl Streep say almost recently, I never watch action films? She basically poo-pooed the whole genre of I don't really give a fuck about that stuff.
She poo-pooed it.
Yeah, which everyone's allowed to not be into it or whatever, but it's just too bad. The thing too about the action genre film is that we've pivoted to an all ages audience for these genre films.
Yes.
And this is absolutely a genre film for adults, grown-ups. There's not a snarky little joke, comment, side character, whatever that a 14-year-old might be into. This is for the grown folks.
No one is cute except for Jonathan Pryce because he's so too
because you think he's super
so tiny.
You're straight up spitting facts. I'm gonna be honest with you. The superhero comment is especially inspired because I was gonna to me, that's when you look at the camera and how they use camera in this movie. it really is, everything is on the street. Even these like amazing locations that they have, like the amphitheater and like the Canna Hotel and stuff like that, they're just like, all right, frame up, and we're just like, it's just like a medium wide of a person walking down the street. We don't get that anymore because we have like drone cameras, we have CG, we have all these,
or they're on cranes the whole time, like these crazy techno cranes.
And that came from superhero movies. I think we need to see the world, because the world is
the world. Right.
As a superhero, you see the world differently than the common folk who have to walk on the streets. This movie is all about the streets, and it really feels like that's almost more than like the filmic quality of it, the practical effects. That alone makes it feel like it's a more outdated form, and it's truly of its era than anything else. Is just how they approach the filming of it.
Yeah, which is a shame, because I kind of think that's also a cool element of this movie that I think we lose kind of in modern action, is the sense that this is happening all around you. That this is happening in your world. It could be happening right next to you, and you're just one of these like people at the cafe next to them as they're plotting these things. It's a cool element we don't see, and there's something that I really like about, having these gorgeous locations all over Europe, and just being on the street level of them. Not making a big deal, and just like what it gives you a feel of what it is like just to walk around on those streets, as opposed to like taking in the scenery from crazy angles.
A good point about like it's all ground level, because nary a grappling hook or jumping out of a window. Like there's some of these beats that like I mean these are Bond films, from even prior to this. But yeah, they're pretty grounded in this one.
Yeah, it's more like when we worshipped the private dick more than we worshipped the superhero. Because it's like, oh, the real cool thing he did is just take his wallet and leave it under the door, so the door was tilted or whatever. You know what I mean? Like it's always simple, straightforward maneuvers like that. It's interesting to compare it to something that more recent, like Nobody, which is again kind of the same thing, where it's like secretly he's more powerful than you think he is, and it's low stakes, it's on the street, he's just supposed to be a schlub, and literally that's the premise, is like he's your average guy, and this is just going to be a knockout drag out fight through normal area like streets and houses and warehouses. But when they get in a fight on the bus, the camera goes CG mode and swoops through the window, and you see his slow-mo fist hit his face. Like we almost can't escape. Like, even movies that don't need to be superhero movies are starting to have the sort of presentational vibe of a superhero movie.
Yeah. But I mean, that doesn't mean it's not like,
no, it's just different.
Better.
I'm not saying it's better. I'm just saying things are of their time, and it's fun to experience both.
Like if Columbo had like fire come out of his hands, that would be pretty cool.
That'd be cool.
It'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I kind of miss seeing it, and it's always nice throwback these like standalone action films that just tell their story, and it's not, you get these cool chases and cool fights and stuff, but really it's all stuff that feels like it happens in your world and not some other crazy hyper realistic world. There's something that adds to the story that way, and adds to like your feeling about it as a viewer.
Now we just have all movies, because we have Nobody, which is like John Wick, but it's like more of the McClane aspect of it, where he's just like, he's barely getting through this, but we also have the James Bonds, like Kingsman and stuff like that. We have like every flavor of movie now, so it's tough to be able to like look back at the past, like in 1998, and go like, oh, I kind of like it's kind of cool that we made movies like this in the past. We still do technically, but it's just like it doesn't.
Do we have like a modern, like what's the most recent, like Departed, Usual Suspects, Ronin? Like, what would you call the most recent thing that does feel like that? Like a sophisticated crime thriller?
The first thing that came to mind is not that recent, but a movie that I love because it was on cable all the time, which was Lucky Number 11.
Oh, I've actually heard that's underrated. I'll have to check that out.
Or like
underrated,
Would Wanted even be?
Wanted is good, yeah.
It's tough.
But
it feels like it's alive in so many other things, because I would like there's movies I feel like we could name that are like that's nothing like
I mean,
that
yeah, I'm
movie,
sure there's
but
like
it's
widow,
inspired
like
by.
they haven't done well recently. I'm thinking of that movie. What is it? 555 or like something like Widows.
The 555,
Yeah.
I think.
Widows
Yeah,
also, that's a good pull.
That's another one.
yeah, they yeah, I don't know. I
mean,
think
Casino Royale was like a gritty reboot of the James Bond.
I guess
arc,
I'm thinking
which felt
also
a lot
of
like this.
Sarah's comment that I think so on point, just that there's like I would eliminate it if it has a snarky joke in it that's so that the 4-quadrant family will enjoy the movie. And that's most movies now. I can't it's hard to think of one that doesn't cater to
I mean,
all
I
ages
do
are
think
welcome.
that the recent like Christopher McQuarrie Mission Impossibles do a really nice job. I mean, they have Simon Pegg in there for like a little bit of relief, but I find that those movies are more self-restrained in that regard, and they have those levity moments, but I feel like those are more earned than in other things I've seen where it's just a little bit too on the nose. It's a little bit too winky.
I got one. I got
Bridget,
one.
go ahead.
I got one. Hell or High Water did that.
Oh yeah.
There's a little bit of
Hell or High Water was
culture.
great and was just like a action. Yeah.
No jokes, just adults like expressing themselves. Yeah.
Just grown-ups robbing banks and chasing each other in cars.
Yeah, and it's like a constant feeling of dread.
Yeah,
this is everyone's like, I'm gonna die. I know it.
I guess there are movies like the first Sicario movie, Good Time feels like that. There are a couple movies that are still doing this,
sure.
but in the 80s
they
through
really
90s,
had a heyday.
They were so like this was a huge corner of the market.
This was what my parents would go see on the nights that we were babysat. Like this was what they were waiting for. This was their adult movie. Yeah.
This is parents. This is like get parents in the mood kind of movie too.
Okay, so what do we think about the reveal that it was a sting the whole time, and he had sex with one of the witnesses, or like he
did they have sex?
I'm pretty sure as a CIA agent, he's not supposed to bang and then release.
I mean, that's never stopped James Bond. Are you fucking kidding me?
It's definitely one of those reveals that the movie doesn't want you to think too much about. That's definitely because like then if you start thinking too much about the reveal, you also realize then like, why the hell did I just watch men chase a case? Like.
Right, because also he could have interceded many previous times and gotten Jonathan Pryce. Right.
Yeah, this could have been over so much quicker. It doesn't make sense why Jean Reno stays in the movie for so long. His connection with Deirdre becomes strange and wildly unprofessional.
I also didn't really think Deirdre and Sam had much chemistry to speak of whatsoever when they started making out. I mean, they did the classic, like, oh, cars come and make out, whatever. But then when she, like, comes on to him, I was a little bit surprised by that. Like,
I was like,
I don't remember seeing,
No.
like, the sexual tension being there. But
I didn't see it.
A lot of times in movies, I feel like there's, like, a compulsory heterosexuality. Like, well, she's a woman, so find a man that they can make out and kiss and stuff. And it's like, it's just so many times.
I think definitely in the 90s.
Yeah, it just reads false.
If you have a movie that's made for adults, someone has to at least make out in it. Like you have all this violence, you get the PG-13 or the R rating, you know?
I think you're both underestimating the raw sexual energy of De Niro.
De Niro.
Oh, yeah. Especially at this weird in-between age.
Yeah. Where you still see his old man habits, like his frown face, his nodding.
His jowling.
I have no idea how old he is supposed to be in this movie either.
None.
Eternal.
Anywhere from 28 to 45, yeah.
Because Deirdre is a young woman, mid 30s, I would guess.
Gorgeous,
like,
supermodel,
and
Not a line
genuinely,
on her face.
I think he could be upwards of 20 years older than her, probably in this movie.
Sure, like a Harrison Ford 50.
You know, par for the course in the 90s.
Yeah,
aged more by experience than by time.
Yes,
it's very bizarre that they. I mean, it's not that bizarre because we
At the
look
time,
back and
yeah.
we go, at the time, that's how the shit was. We're still not even out of that shit. But it is, there's this ad hoc feeling, like you're both pointing out, that it did give me a surprise as well. I was like, I'd forgotten about the romance arc. I thought in my head for some reason, because it'd been a while since I'd seen it, that it was just like all it is cars and fucking just cases. That's all this movie is about.
Cars and silver suitcases.
Yeah. But yeah, they definitely go for it, which is what I don't know. There's an old school aspect about it.
Sure.
I'm glad that we're graduating it. I wouldn't say that we've gotten rid of the trope, but we've at least evolved the trope somewhat. And that's good.
It feels it
gone.
reads like a studio note. And I think, around this time, we're starting to get the fact that, like, we didn't need it.
Right.
No one asked for it or wanted it.
Talking about comparing this film to like our modern action film, I mean, a guy and a gal hooking up, that's also part of the genre. Like, I do think that's just built into the action genre. But this has kind of been talked a lot about how, like, sexless a lot of films have become, again, because so many films have to now appeal to literally every single age on Earth in order to make its money back or justify its existence. And there is part of me that I don't really miss we're just gonna have these characters hook up for the sake of hooking up. I kind of appreciate chemistry. You know what I mean? Like, physical chemistry exists as an audience member. That's hard for me to see all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if two people just like jump on each other, that doesn't read as like real to me as maybe they have a conversation and mentally or emotionally they have something in common. Now, in real life, two people just, fucking whatever, slipping into making out at a bar or whatever. Okay, yeah, that happens. But again, that's a physical language between two people that I don't think an audience looking at them are privy to that same physical energy simply because we're not physically embodying these people.
Unless it's like Mr. and Mrs. Smith or something.
But it's part of the romanticizing of the crime, the whole thing, right? It's like Sid and Nancy. It's like Robin Hood and Marion. It's the stolen love made all the sweeter by the fact that you're both on the run and in inclement like
danger
situations.
bone.
But I agree that I don't think it was supported here or worked here. It just felt like they had to drop it in. But I get why people want it, or why they think they want it, or why it's part of the fantasy.
I think it's good to mention that there's a spectra there. We don't want the kind of sexless 4-quadrant shit because that feels not true to the world.
Right.
But we also don't want the, almost ad hoc like vision that it's just like, you two are the main characters, you gotta fuck, right? You just gotta.
Your parts,
and it's just
your
like
parts
both feel wrong.
Yeah.
Both of these are not right, and I think that's the right answer.
You stupid shite, you're a dead man.
Should
have just shot him. Yet again, a villain says something instead of killing. Just pull the trigger, man. You're done.
I have a shotgun in my room. I'm gonna come out.
Yeah, exactly.
So many times that could have happened. So many times I'm like, yeah, again, you're not supposed to think about the twist of this movie too much. Because then you just look back and you're like, well, none of that needed to happen.
Yeah.
If his goal the whole time was just to get to Seamus O'Rourke and kill him, he could have done that
right
an hour and a half ago.
I feel like any film in where a MacGuffin is present, you really just have to say, once you recognize like, oh, this is a MacGuffin movie, you kind of have to let go of thought.
Exactly.
It now becomes an experience because you can't get hung up on the shit that you don't know and you're not gonna know.
Because what's in the case? It's got to be a nuke, right? Or if it's not, who gives a shit? Like, it's either a nuke or it doesn't matter.
It is the formula to end like world disease, or I don't really give a fuck.
Right.
Right.
It's the soul of, I don't know.
I thought it was like some really dangerous ice skates.
Some very sharp ice skates.
And what a nice addition to the film. A little break of all the action.
For an ice skating routine.
To murder an ice skater. Did anyone else laugh compulsively when it cut to the wide and the sniper is following the skaters every because I didn't know that's what they were about to reveal, and I was like, that is unintentionally funny. That is hilarious.
Yeah. It's just another day at the ice rink.
Yeah. And that they just go for it. Like the solution is fine, kill her.
Right. Yeah. She didn't need to die.
Yeah, I know. For this CIA operation to take place, it doesn't seem like they would have let that happen. That seems like it would derail the operation, right? If an
completely.
Olympic figure skater died during the course of the events, you'd be like, shit, we better huddle up and decide if we need to pull De Niro out or what we're doing
Right.
here.
A Russian, because this woman is clearly a treasure, an international star.
Exactly.
She garnered quite the crowd. They rolled out a red carpet for a ice skating performance.
Which I don't know if it's almost like they were setting her up to be the prima ballerina, but a ballerina wasn't available. So like this actress is like a for real.
Well, it was 98.
Skater.
Ice skating, figure skating was big.
Well, and she's Russian, so I mean,
that's when I was in the scene.
Oh, of course you would know.
Christy Yamaguchi, get out of town. Like we were all about the ice at this
in 98. I certainly was. This is Bridget's peak ice skating year, competitive figure skating years.
Michelle Kwan, Oksana Bayul.
I was a Michelle Kwan girl.
We're killing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely the ballerina trope.
It's
what
totally
you're identifying,
like
which is like a classic
soprano
thing.
at an opera or like the prima ballerina. Like that's how they're treating it. But like, with all due respect to figure skaters, I don't think they get like the black tie, white glove premiere.
No, the fandom of the ice skaters. What a big deal that a figure skater was going to town.
Yeah, I think like a child has like a slushie in that audience at a figure skating show.
There's fucking clowns at the beginning.
There were
Did
clowns.
You see that?
Yeah,
there's two clowns just clown skating around, and I'm just like, who the fuck is this for? Is this for children?
It was very weird. It feels like the movies need to, or like I don't know. I think it was like a very writer compulsion to be like, we have to juxtapose the like CIA nature with this beautiful, delicate art. But it was just so weird.
Yeah, John Frankenheimer. I don't think this is a dude who has ever been to like an ice skating show or whatever, because I have actually been to several, and it's like a business casual affair at best.
Gotcha.
It starts at 5 p.m. It ends at 7. There's no ballet.
It's a non-fancy play. You know,
you're
just going out to a play or something or whatnot.
Fuck figure skaters, those white trash, fucking shitty rodeo clown ass.
You can't see it. They're half of our audience is ice skaters.
Also, come on, man. You know, I love a skater. I could have been someone in that world. I could have been someone.
But
no. Horse dressage or get the fuck out. Horse dressage or fancier. That's all we accept.
Out of all my athletic pursuits, that was the one I got closest with.
Until you got bludgeoned by a pipe.
You know what this competed with at the box office? It's equivalent, not heist film, but like action movie that beat this slot.
I've been doing really well at the box office game. Lately, so let's see, 98.
Roll the dice.
Give
Bridgett,
me a lead actor. I would be shocked if you can guess.
I can't.
This.
If I give you one of the actors,
Ocean's
it's
11?
a giveaway.
No, Ocean's 11 came out in
2001.
Michael.
Yeah.
Nice.
Heist film.
It's not a heist film. It's an action movie. Two male stars.
Is it a Die Hard?
No.
All right, this is going to be too difficult.
Too difficult. It's all right. Rush Hour. Rush Hour is what this was up against.
A trilogy.
Action comedy. Totally different vibe.
A trilogy. Oh,
a trilogy.
Wait, I remember now why we
our conversation basically about like how the blockbusterification of action movies and like heist movies and the smaller genres that they're in. Like I think Rush Hour is one of the movies we look to. I'd say like Men in Black as well.
Yeah.
We look to where it's just like take any genre and then make it like you can Marvel it up. You just throw in some like quirky comic relief and you just make it like let's take a martial arts film, but let's make it like funny in this particular way.
Yeah, and you make it something the whole family can go to or understand or wrap their heads around. I will. I assume Sarah and I will rewatch Rush Hour one of these days and decide whether it was appropriate for us to see as children.
Bridgett, we actually had a big conversation about Rush Hour, but then we determined that the director of Rush Hour was too problematic to act.
Yeah.
So I'm cracking up like, oh yeah, Rush Hour is a trilogy. Ooh, do we like that? Like, we already did this.
Do you like it?
We had this. We went through this.
Speaking of that, yeah.
We already
I
went through this.
desperately keep wanting to bring up my favorite film in this genre of all time, which is The Negotiator, but it's got a big old Spacey in the middle of
that's
it.
good.
Yeah.
Real big Spacey.
But big Ronin vibes on
Big
that
Ronin.
movie as well.
For sure.
Speaking of which, De Niro is almost an anagram of Renault, and if you combine them, you can spell Ronin with some letters left over.
Wow.
That's why they pay you the big bucks, Michael.
Cool.
Thank you.
Is little takes like that really
you can't hear it,
take
but
us
I'm
home.
bowing.
Clap.
I also wanted to ask if Abe noticed how many diopter shots there were in the first few sequences of this film.
I did
'cause I know
notice.
you
There were
did.
quite a few.
And by the way, 5 points to Michael.
Thank you.
Oh,
I've broken
now
even.
he's at 0.
There's several diopter shots. The in-joke here for both of you is that I hate diopter shots. Split diopters when you can manage the focus of two different planes in a single shot, and it's a piece of equipment that you use, and I argue it's a useless shot. I mean, it sucks.
I agree. It's confusing.
To me, it's like the Willem scream where like I hear it, I recognize it, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's that thing, and it almost takes me out of the movie because it's like, oh yeah, I know the technical term for what this is.
It's a very loud, and I can't get angry at a tool. Like it's like getting angry at a screwdriver. It's just a piece of equipment, but it's just so loud, and people use it like saying everything in the shot is important, and I'm like, or maybe you prioritize as a director. Maybe you decide what's important.
Or maybe
and that's where my reaction comes from.
I did like the one with Deidre's eye and Seamus O'Flaherty the third, the Harari, whatever the fuck, is like kind of speaking into her ear when they're going up the escalator. I thought it was effective there. If I could be an apologist.
A diopter apologist.
I like folks,
if I could
different
speak.
strokes.
I think what I really like though is what we were talking about is the like just when it's basic bread and butter stuff, which was going from low helicopter shots to POV shots of the camera mounted on the car to shots through the windshield back to helicopter shots, and you're like, yeah, almost feels like the way the news would cover a car chase.
Actually,
it's like you're barely keeping up with it.
You feel like a fly on the wall. It's very cool.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of really good work. I mean, it really is considered to be Frankenheimer's masterpiece. Like,
he's made a lot of good movies.
Yeah, it's very like on the more actiony stuff from Hitchcock. It's very speaks like think of North by Northwest. It's
For
very
sure.
like that paranoia. Like we see it in a lot of the scenes that where he's like looking at every doorway and stuff like that. You get that vibe of just like something is not right here all the time, and we need to figure out what's wrong. Frankenheimer gets that tone and he puts it on screen by doing things like, what's funny, we mentioned Born Identity, and the way that movie tried to do that is by doing everything handheld, like it's a doc, but it totally doesn't fit, especially because they're cutting like every 10 seconds. This one is so much more better at making you feel like a fly on the wall, and like you're at any point, kind of like the thing that Tarantino wants us to do with with Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction. It's like at any point someone can come through this door and just shoot everybody. Like that's what we're fearing.
And you get that a lot. Like De Niro's character does such a good job. That character does such a good job at putting you in that place because he's of this world. He knows that you're not going to have, theoretically, if you're just hired to do some sort of criminal job, you're not supposed to have all the answers. You just do your job and leave, as Renault says. But him being like, this is letting you into, this is strange, I need these answers so I can do my job, really puts you in that place of like, something's not right. The one dude I can trust in here who seems to also know something is not right is validating me. That part of it does a lot to like add to that feeling you were talking about.
It really is kind of cool, and not unique, but like definitely something we haven't gotten a lot of recently.
Yeah, it's done well. a character, your main character being a couple steps behind, even though still being cool and in command of every situation, I feel is not something you see as much anymore. Or people try like a cool main character just trying to get answers out of people.
Yeah.
Or figuring something out. Yeah.
I think we nailed it. What other thoughts do we have about the movie Ronin?
Just to go, I mean, just kind of a final thought, because we've been kind of comparing the modern action movie to this. I will say something that the modern action film has that I probably could have used a little bit more of in this film, quite frankly, is like the emotional world of these people. I wish I could have learned. I understand, part of the knowing is the not knowing for this film. By and large, though, I would have liked to have known, like, just maybe one fun fact about each of these people, or like maybe have like a little bit more of an emotional world instead of this like bleak, cool, no one's talking, no one's really answering questions. It's effective, I would say. I would also say that I could have afforded like a little bit more knowledge.
Or a little thawing into real emotion. Because, when it wanted me to feel real feelings, it usually failed. That's when it fell down.
Yeah, and it failed because it wasn't earned at that point. Because it was like, well, I don't really know who these people are. Why should I give a motherfucker?
They're just a bunch of machinations that go against each other. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree. When I finished this movie, my boyfriend had seen it a couple times, loved it. And I enjoyed it. He left, he gave me the very excited, like, so what did you think? And I was like, there is still some sort of like connection point with the characters that I was missing. And I think that's what Sarah was talking about. Like, I think maybe like the shoehorned love plot line made that worse or just more visible. But like,
it pointed it out and said, here's the thing that usually they get right, and this has no chemistry.
And this has no chemistry. So so at the end of the movie, you walk away, everything's revealed, and you're kind of like picking up the pieces of that and being like, that was cool. Did it hold together? Do I care about these people enough? I don't know. But I enjoyed the ride. But it left that thing for me of a movie that makes it a movie I love, which is, am I still going to be thinking about it for a while after? And I'll think about the chases, but I don't think there's like anything big about the movie
that quality. Yeah, it's not saying anything in particular.
It fucks a little bit with the stakes when these are characters that like I don't really know them, so any one of them could die at any point, and I wouldn't have a no. You know what I mean? Like it's just kind of like okay, I get it. Like they're all it's a cast of Han Solos, and it's like, I mean, someone could be, I don't know, their wife died.
Yeah,
I don't need it to be like that ham-fisted, but just a little bit more of getting to know these people emotionally and as real human beings instead of in this world where they really are like pieces on a chessboard.
Yeah, they're action figures. And you really see the Tarantino influence there, because that's how almost all of his films work, is like, what is his or her purpose?
To get the case.
Cool.
Yeah. Why do they want the case? There's money in it or something. Like, who cares?
Yeah.
They have wants. They have all the things they teach in screenwriting school. It's all that stuff. But it's like, when you actually do get to the emotional weight of it, it's like, what's the conflict really trying to say? Why do you care? As opposed to, like anything else. I do think that they do miss that, because they emphasize the coolness factor. It's like why I don't care about James Bond as well. Even though James Bond, you spend more on-screen time with him and he's quote-unquote charming, like he never is pushed. It was only until like Casino Royale did we get that archetype even being questioned. And this is still of that old time where it's like hearkening to like we were talking about all the references, like the detectives and the the private dicks of yesteryear. That's the immutable kind of emotions that we get from all of our characters, and it's very distancing.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. I still don't need the nudge, nudge, wink, wink, look at camera like, guys, you're gonna want to see this. Like, it doesn't need to be that extreme, but a little personality. Robert, why don't you smile more, huh?
Yeah.
Come on, you're so pretty when
Bobby
you
D.
smile.
Bobby D.
Bobby, give us a smile.
Come on,
Give
Bobby.
us a smile, Bobby. You mentioned Brazil earlier, Michael.
I usually do.
They're both in Brazil.
Yeah.
And I just realized that now.
Oh, I always forget
totally-
De Niro is, but of course he is.
Yeah, De Niro.
Yeah.
Totally different roles.
Ooh, let's
Also,
watch Brazil.
If you take the
Mhm.
letters in De Niro and the letters in Renault and you have them cancel out each other,
Oh,
so that
God.
like all that's left is ID, like
We lost Michael. He has not been listening.
pure id.
He's not been listening for the last half hour, which is usually a good time for us to kind of call it there, I guess, at least for our Ronin conversation.
That's the vibe I'm throwing out.
That's the vibe he's throwing out. I want to thank again Nikolai G and the international listener from the frozen Canadian wastes. That's his words. not
And to
mine.
Nikolai specifically, again, just kidding about the figure skaters. Obviously, your nation puts up some incredible athletes every 4 years at the Winter Olympics. Like that couple.
We are literally recording this episode on National Respect Canada Day. That is not a joke, so
Oh.
you best come correct.
That's right. I heard that on your Even More News.
That's right, it's today.
Well, happy Respect Canada Day.
Yeah, Wayne Gretzky.
I do not observe.
Yeah, unobserved. In America, in parentheses, not observed.
Not observed. But this is fun. What a great conversation. I thought it was going to be mayhem, and we were all very well behaved, I thought.
We came on our best behavior.
professionals.
Well, you gave us
We're
like a real
professionals.
adult movie to watch.
Yes.
Abe,
yes,
I
am an
actually
adult.
swapped your recorder with a bomb that's about to go off. And
Oh,
I'm
no!
running the other way.
Oh, no! So what you got? What y'all have got working on?
Jesus.
What do you want to plug? Anything? You want to do any of the plugs?
I mean, you can follow me on Twitter at Bridgett Tweets. That's 3 T's in a row, right in the middle. If you don't already, that's where I post the things I'm doing when I can post them.
It's a lot of tea for
Cool.
your buck.
I know.
I am also on Twitter at @SK_Griffith. Bridgett and I are working our way through the super cute How to Train Your Dragon movies on Shooting Threes. We're talking about cats and dragons and other cute animals because Toothless is so darling. And a little teaser, but Bridgett and I are working on a series together, and we don't have a lot of information to share right now, but in the coming months we will. So
It's gonna be on those places.
yeah, stay tuned at our Twitter because we've got a cool
that's
project
so
and we
exciting.
want everyone to help us, and by that I mean give us money, but we'll talk about that at a later time. Thank you for following us, and thank you for listening to our many shows, and thank you to Michael and Abe for not only having us on this podcast but also having us on the network. We love the Small Beans Network.
Well, we love to have you. You guys do excellent work.
Follow them. Collect all the beans. Complete
All
the
of
set.
them. You need to get the BS Division limited edition set of Small Beans.
Michael, you got anything else?
Nah, man, we're just grim-dour professionals. I think we should all just look eye to eye, nod curtly, and walk into the distance, never to speak to each other again.
This has been a Small Beans endeavor. We're a bunch of pals who make podcasts, sketches, music, web series, and movies. The beans always have new ideas percolating, so make sure to check us out at patreon.com/smallbeans. That's patreon.com/smallbeans, where you can browse all of our current and past content, see what we've got planned in the future, and learn how your support can help the small beans grow into huge, giant monster beans. If you enjoyed this content module, please like, rate, subscribe, or tell a friend about us. We love you.